When most of us first got into this thing we call board gaming, we played Settlers and Carcassonne and the occasional cheap-ass game, but it wasn't until that one game kicked down the door, grabbed you by the shirt, and slid you down the bar to let you know that heavy gaming was here and it didn't involve dice or maps of World War II Europe. For me, Tigris and Euphrates was that game. However, it seems that a certain someone is just not sure there's a good way to cover the entirety of the rules in one shot. Well, sir, consider your challenge accepted. Let's go over some concepts. On a player's turn, they get 2 actions. There are 4 types of actions, and players can choose the same one twice if they want to. One of the player's available actions is to put a tile on the board from their secret stash of 6. Tiles are one of 4 colors, and that's a factor in where it can go. When at least 2 tiles are joined together, they form a region, and that region grows as more tiles are added. Players also have 2 catastrophe tiles they can use on almost any space during the game. Regions are cool and all, but it's not until they get a leader that they become kingdoms. Leaders can only be placed in a non-river space, and they have to share an edge with a red tile. Leaders can join regions together, but not already established kingdoms. So why do you want leaders on the board? Because if anyone places a tile in a kingdom, the owner of the leader with that tile's color gets a victory point. If that leader isn't present, then the kingdom's black leader's owner gets that point instead if he's around. So what happens when one of the above actions results in a kingdom with 2 leaders of the same color? It's time for a leader smackdown. There are 2 kinds of conflicts, external and internal. Internal conflicts happen like this. You've got a leader sitting pretty next to some red tiles, and I drop my leader of the same color into your kingdom. The initial attack values are set at the number of adjacent red tiles to each of the 2 leaders. Each side then gets 1 chance to contribute red tiles from behind their screen to add to their value, with ties going to the defender. The winner gets 1 red victory point, the loser's leader has to clear out, and all the tiles that were added from behind the player's screens are removed from the game. External conflicts happen when 2 kingdoms are joined and the new kingdom ends up with 2 leaders of the same color. Let's say that both you and I have a blue leader in this newly formed kingdom. We count up the light-colored tiles on each side, and like before, we get 1 chance to add the same colored tiles to the conflict from behind our screens. The higher total wins with ties going to the defender. The loser has to remove their leader along with all tiles of that color from their side of the kingdom, and the winner gets that many victory points in that color. Yeah, external conflicts are pretty bloody. Let's cover a couple more things and then we're done. Monuments. When 4 tiles of the same color are placed in a square formation, they can all be flipped over and the active player can place a monument with at least one of the flipped tiles' color on top of them. At the end of the active player's turn, he checks his leaders to see if they match any monuments in their kingdoms. If so, the player scores 1 victory point of that leader's color. Treasures. At the beginning of the game, 10 treasures are laid out on the board on top of red tiles. If at the end of the active player's turn a kingdom has more than 1 treasure, the player with a green leader in that kingdom can take all but one of those treasures for himself. Treasures count as 1 victory point each for any color you choose. At the end of their turn, players draw back up to 6 tiles. They can also spend one of their 2 actions to discard and refresh some or all of their 6 tiles from the bag. If any player is ever unable to get back to 6 tiles, or there are 2 or less treasures on the board, then the game immediately ends. The players lift their screens and count up their victory points. In a totally awesome twist, whoever has the most points in their weakest color is the winner. Totally awesome. Like I said before, this game was it for me. I love that you're judged on your weakest color. When you think of what makes up a game, you think of finding the most exploitable path to victory. There's practically no such thing here. You're only as good as the color you pay the least amount of attention to, which keeps you engaged throughout the whole game. A well-timed external conflict can shore up your deficit of blue victory points and put you right where you need to be. It's definitely a great game to introduce to people to show them what heavy gaming is like with relatively few component types. Yeah, there's cubes and tiles and cubes, but it's easy to get your head around the fact that they're all just different colors of the same things. Conflicts can be a bit dicey to explain, but the first time someone's kingdom loses a bunch of tiles because of an external conflict, they'll get the hint pretty fast. And that's the blessing and curse of this game. You have to lose a few times before you get any good at it. Hell, my record's pretty abysmal, but the mark of a good game is if you enjoy yourself while playing it. I certainly do. and I think you will too.